Possible? Ending poverty?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so here's why ending poverty might technically be possible under capitalism, but it won't happen. And it's not because we can't eliminate poverty itself, it's because capitalism is incompatible with the elimination of poverty. And here's so in that clip, sociologist Matthew Desmond is talking about how we have enough money right now to eliminate poverty in the United States completely. Estimates put the cost of eliminating poverty in the US at approximately $177 billion. And in order to get $177 billion, we wouldn't have to raise taxes at all. We would just have to properly collect the taxes that the wealthiest people in this country already owe. Now, even if tomorrow we could snap our fingers and collect that $177 billion, here's why it would never be spent on completely eliminating poverty. It's because capitalism depends on the existence of poverty as a constant form of coercive threatening. In the past, social, political, and economic systems would have to extract consent from the people by force, by physical force. So under systems like slavery or feudalism, they would threaten people with physical violence. Under capitalism, we don't use violence in the same way, but we still rely on violence to extract consent. A feudal lord doesn't have to come up to you and flog you and extract money from you. Instead, we live under constant threat of being left out to die, whether that's by being evicted from our apartments because we don't pay rent on time or from losing our job. Capitalism needs the threat of poverty to keep people paying rent for their crappy apartments and working at the jobs that they hate. And in fact, capitalism relies on an impoverished class of people, which Marx referred to as the reserve army of labor. The reserve army of labor is one of the reasons why we will never reach full unemployment. And what we often refer to as full unemployment is actually 4 to 6% of unemployment. Because in order for capitalism to function, we need a constant supply of people who are willing to take some of the worst jobs. Without the threat of poverty, exploited workers would no longer be afraid to organize with their coworkers against unfair or exploitative working conditions. Or tenants would no longer be afraid to organize with their neighbors to form tenant unions and start a rent strike against their landlord for raising their rents too much. Poverty is necessary to keep those systems afloat so that if you do start to organize with the people around you, those in power can threaten to fire you, put you out on the street, and leave you out to starve. And the only reason they can do that is because of the existence of the reserve army of labor, of people who are always in worse economic conditions than you, who are willing to take your crappy job or move into your crappy apartment. So one of the things that Matthew Desmond argues in his book, Poverty by America, is that we can reduce or completely eliminate poverty through tax reform and investment in public service. But I would argue that the capitalist class, which includes most of our politicians and or heavily lobbies, would simply never allow this to happen, and that the only way to truly eliminate poverty would be to eliminate capitalism.